Viva Las Vegas, a track that looks like an inverted oink oink, if you know what I mean. All you can see from the layout itself, how the track looks like. It is quite literally like a pig inverted. Maybe you might just win or lose depending on how you gamble with your setups around this track. You see what I did there? Maybe you can't see, but you can just hear what I did. Now, let's talk just a little bit quickly about the track layout here. And before that, well, if you want to skip to the track guide, well, it's somewhere in the timestamps, you can always skip to that. If you want to see the setup, it's also in the description as well. In the timestamp, you can jump to that straight away. And this first part, I'm just gonna yap about a little bit about this track. So there's a few corners here, tight and slow corners, where you'll be needing quite a bit of mechanical grip. Low speed downforce is going to be important. And then there's pretty much all the long straights ever you need in this track. So you're going to be needing the top speed in this track for sure to overtake someone. There's also some curbs which have been, in a way updated since the recent patch to the track limits around this track. So, you can't be as aggressive as before. So, well, you're probably going to be 3 or 4 tenths down compared to your previous PBs maybe if you redo this track. But setups are going to evolve over time, and let's take a look into that, how you can tackle Las Vegas. So first of all, the setup here that I'm using is, well, sort of modified from the world record setup. Usually I'll take that and then modify it and then go into GP and whatnot to test it out. This time what I did was, well, for the past week at least, I took the time trial setup, went into the multiplayer, ranked multiplayers, because Vegas was on there for the last week. And, well, pretty much tested it out as long as I could. And I finally came up with this setup which diverted quite a way from the world record setup, and for a good reason, because you're going to be needing that grip as the tires wear on in a 25% race. Even in 5-lap races, you can feel the difference on the exits and the way you take corners. And yeah, it really helps in a race condition with higher downforce just a little bit. And you still have decent top speed, especially if you get within someone's DRS. It's going to be an easy overtake regardless if they don't have DRS. If you're in a DRS train, then, well, it may or may not matter, but it will matter if you get a good exit. So if you get a good exit regardless of whatever the guy in front's running, you may be able to pull alongside them and pull away once you get a better exit. Now with that done out of the way, let's discuss the setup real quickly. So you're going to be running 1412 as your high downforce preset here in the dries. So 1412 wings will be okay. Lower than that, you can go 1210. You can go 1311, just go down in one click at a time. That should be alright. 11.9 and 10.8, I think these are the usable ranges here around around Vegas. Below that, it really starts to be a little bit tricky to use, because there's a little bit of exit issues that you'll start to run into. Well, if you don't want that, you can always go with the safer option around here, which is going to be better as the race progresses. Transmission 55 on throttle, the usual, and off throttle I've upped it to 53 to reduce that handbrake effect when you are braking into heavy braking zones. So 50 is just nice also. It gives you a lot of rotation, especially in qualifying, so I recommend that. 50 or 51 in qualifying is just nice. And then you can go up by 2% for the race, so 50 to 52, or if you're running 51, you can go up to 53. It will just translate nicely into a balanced race setup. And you can go up to 55 at the worst if you really want more stability at the expense of a little bit of rotation. It'll be a little bit slow in the corners, but if you can adjust to that and find the time, go for it. Okay, and then we follow up with the suspension geometry, the usual: minimum camber, minimum toe, go for it. You find anything funky, try it out, go for it. Suspension. So we have slow speed corners like I mentioned early on. We will be needing a little bit of mechanical grip and allow the car to rotate in the slow corners. So that's why I've softened the suspension from 41 that I usually run down to 31. And the default on the world record was 28.8 or 28.7, I think, and that's pretty close to that. So just 3 clicks higher than that, it gives me a little bit more stability that I need, so that the car doesn't snap on exits and it's not too loose into the corners. And to balance that out, I've also reduced the rear suspension so that the rear is a little bit more stable. Just 2 clicks just felt fine. And then to go along with this suspension, well, I've gone with 32 front ride height, seems to be just nice. 33 also works if you feel the car is a little bit snappy, especially when you get on power or coming out of slower corners. The car is a little bit snappy. You can go up one click on the right height on the front. Don't go any more than that, then you really start to understeer a lot here. And rear suspension seats is at 5. It's very slow speed corners. You don't really have to run the rear right height too high like we usually do in some tracks, but you can always play around with this. 36 and 37 I think is around the range that you'd want to run with this rear suspension setup. Of course, you have to remember, being slow speed corners, you can't just smash your throttle 100% straight away. Even when you have TC enabled, sometimes the car will snap on you regardless of the setup. So a little bit of driving input is necessary to make sure that you are hitting the right amount of throttle into some of these corners, especially in qualifying. In the race, you can always be a little bit more cautious when you're following someone. Now, brakes, 100% brake pressure as usual. My goodness, keep hitting the wrong button here. 100% brake pressure, and brake bias, you want it forward, so around 56, 57 is usually what you run in the race as well. And I wouldn't say 58 or 59 is usable, but if you really feel that the car needs a bit more stability under braking, then you can go for it. But generally 56, 57 is a good balance between braking stability and giving you the rotation into the corners. And just remind us, keep this at the back of your mind, that this track is somewhat bumpy despite being quite a straightforward looking track. It is a bit bumpy, so you want to make sure the rear doesn't lock that easily. Now, on a flatter track, usually you can get away with lower brake bias, and it really helps. Right here, I'll keep it at 56 and 57. Tire pressures, play around with this according to your preference. These pressures that I run were just nice for a 25% rank race. They were a little bit underheating at some times, but if you want to increase it, go for it. But remember, if you increase the tire pressures, you sometimes lose a little bit of mechanical grip. The slow speed section becomes, well, you lose a bit of time there. But if you go lower, you definitely gain a little bit more grip in the slower corners at the expense of probably a little bit of stability in high speed corners. So the golden rule is softer pressures, better for slow speed, higher pressures, better for high speed. So again, you have to find the balance and not to overheat the surface or the carcass of the tire. And there you go. This is the Vegas setup. It will be in the description along with the wing options here that you can run. And then everything else, as you see here, is going to be the same. It is the same setup that I have in my Discord bot as well. You can join my Discord server and you can find this setup in the Discord, well, in the F1 setup bot channel, which I've established with the community help to populate all these setups. So see you around there if you want to keep up to date with all these free setups. And let's go to the track guide for now. And well, while we quickly save this setup here, I'd like to thank you as well for tuning in and watching this till this far. It's getting pretty late here, and let's go to the track guide here and see how do we tackle a Las Vegas for a qualifying lap at the very least, and then you can see how you can improve on that. So let's start with the fastest lap here. Now heading into turn 1 here, again the starting line is going to be a little bit crooked here, so you will notice that during the race start, you're going to be probably, if you're starting towards P5, 6 onwards, you're going to be a little bit crooked towards the end. If you're starting at the tail end, yeah, it's going to be like this, so it's a little bit awkward. Bear in mind, if you want to start from the back, you'll have to probably make sure you don't spin off the line. Now that aside, you want to hug the inside line here, the curve here. It's flat, it's just painted curve, so you can hug that line, but it's a bit bumpy here. Keep your steering as straight as possible. Bring the car over to the right hand side and avoid the part of the track after the white line on the right hand side, because if you go on there, it will slow your car down. There's literally like a auto stop kind of grip over there, so you want to avoid that. As you can see here, let's just see from well, wrong camera angle. You can see here on the chase cam, we are just on the white line. Until the white line is okay. Beyond the white line, there's no grip there. It slows your car down, or maybe there's too much grip. It's quite abrasive circuit over there. So into turn 1, brake at the 100-meter board or as the curve starts, whichever you prefer. Down to 4th gear, You can take it in fourth, you can take it also in third gear. And we ran a little bit deep here on the entry, but that's fine because it's a long corner. You can always bring the car back to the left hand side and then stay tight to the left hand side. And you can see there's a little curvature in the track here. It's a little, the wall is a bit S-shaped here. So right around here where you can see from far off the track, you know, starts to straighten out, that's where you want to turn in. So I turn in as I pass that second lamp pole on the front. There's quite a lot of lamp poles here. On the last lamp pole here on the left hand side, you know, the one that is black mark, right? So as I pass that, that's where I turn in the car and just lift the throttle a little bit so the nose of the car points into the corner. You want to take it tight because it's slightly cambered inwards, as you can see, and that will help the car to, you know, turn around the corner. And once you are, you know, already in the corner here, open up your steering. As you can see, I'm slowly opening up the steering here very gently, because any aggressive input will offset your car, will unsettle the car. So as you're getting more and more confident, open up the steering and put down more power. You should be 100% throttle right around here by the time you know, hit the start of the DRS activation point here, which is, well, right around here, just before that the painted curb starts. And then be careful not to hit the wall though, because, well, it sometimes can damage your car, can damage your suspension, and let's race over. Bring your car to the left hand side. It's quite bumpy, even for a short straight here, so be careful on that. And 100-meter point, that's what you're looking for, or the start of the red and white curb. These are the two braking reference that you can use. Brake in a straight line, brake heavy, and then trail brake into the corner around third gear. That's where you want to, you know, start turning into the corner here. And you don't need to hug the inside line too much. You don't need to mount the curb either. That's going to lose you time for sure, but stay close to it. And then on the exit, open up the steering and run it wide without touching the walls there. So let's see, this is, I don't know, as close as it gets to, you know, hitting the wall here. So you want to maximize the limits as always, otherwise you're bleeding lap time all over the lap. So next, this is the most hated part in Vegas, because there's no proper goddamn reference where to brake unless you have racing lines on. And again, you know, a little bit of ABS definitely helps to rotate the car around this track, but you know, if you're running no ABS, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge until you get used to it. So my braking reference, let me tell you what I look for. I try to look for anything on the track, on the left hand side of the track. There are too many lamp poles to count on the left hand side. You know, there's no like last lamp pole that I can refer to, so it's a little bit difficult. There's no overhead bridge which I can refer to. There's no, you know, something on the stands on the right hand side that I can use as a reference. The only thing that I can properly map out is the TVs on the top left, the standings on top of the grandstand, as you can see. So there's that is the first TV, as you can see on the top right here, or here. So there's three TVs, one in the middle of the screen, second one, and then third one is just near this replay icon here. So I use this TV here. Well, that's a good reference here. As you pass this bridge, there's one TV you will pass on the top right above the replay. That's one, and then two, and then three. As I hit the third one, that's why I brake into the corner. Let it brake towards the outside. You know, you're almost like you're running into this right hand wall in a straight line, and then trail brake into the corner. Take it in second gear. You can mount the inside curb quite a bit. You can even cut it if you get the line right, and that's going to gain you a little bit of time and open up the next complex of corners. So if you want to be safe, just mount this a little bit, as you can see here. Well, just a little bit, and stay tight, and then stay tight on this right hand side, and take as much as you can without going over it. So ride the curb if you need to, but don't go over it, because it will bottom out on the floor of your car. So now bring it back tightly to the right hand side. Thankfully, there are differences in the walls here which you can use as a braking reference. I use the start of the AWS boards on the right hand side as my braking reference, or the left hand side, either one will work. So as I hit that, I, you know, just apply the brakes and then turn the car into the apex. I turned it a little bit early here, as you can see, because I'm too tight on the entry, and that meant on the exit, you know, I couldn't plant the power as soon as I want to do. However, if you get the exit right, you will gain plenty of time here. Now for this next part here, I like to bring the car a little bit to the left hand side so that this flat out right, although it looks flat, it is flat in any dry conditions on the hards, heavy fuel and whatnot, but you know, it can be a little bit tricky to judge at first. So that's why I'm going a little bit to the left hand side so that I can, you know, minimize the steering input. If you scrub off too much speed by applying too much steering, you can actually lose up to a tenth in the short run into the next braking zone. So stay tight here, keep staying tight, and then, you know, once you're past that right hander and you want to somewhat in the middle of the track but not too much to the right hand side, you don't want to be hugging the left hand side either, because that will tighten your entry into the next corner. So as you reach the 100-meter board here on the right hand side, you also pass a bridge. Now I use this bridge as a braking reference, so when I pass the bridge, as I hit that, that's where I brake down to third gear. And this corner, this has been changed a little bit since the last patch. Previous patch you can run over it and you can easily gain like 4 or 5 tenths over the AI here, but you know, now considering that has been patched, you can touch the curb a little bit, but it still unsettles the car. If you are able to take this curb, able to take this corner without touching it, that will be ideal, because that will allow you to get the power down much quicker. So that will allow you to have a better exit, and that's going to compound over time as you gain the time all the way down this long straight called, you know, the Vegas strip here. Now straighten up your car as soon as possible, power down, and then you want to stick to the left hand side very tight to the wall, because this will gain you a few thousands even. You know, in a qualifying run, definitely do that. DRS activated, and you know, staying tight to the left hand side also allows you to see the DRS boards much easily if you're not relying on the UI here. So it's a straight flat out zone all the way down to the final braking zone of the track. Now bring your car slowly to the right hand side, and you want to be preparing the final corner here, and you will see once again you will arrive at the 100-meter board before the bridge, and there's also the red and white curve on the bottom right, which you can use as a reference. So I use the start of the curve as a braking reference because I know that's where the 100-meter board is, so I just brake a little bit before that. So like 110 meters probably is ideal for me. Brake down in a straight line. On the entry, miss this curb at first, but you have to make sure you are tight on the entry. You don't want to, you know, be too wide, and be a little bit wide. I think we carried a little bit too much speed, so brake a bit more maybe if you need to, and ideally your car should be pointing a bit more to the left than mine is, so that you can straighten out this next part here. So this corner here, this little curb, you can actually ride fully if you are brave enough. If you are, you know, feeling a little bit under the weather or something, you don't want to take this curve to spin out, just avoid it. And it's going to be safer, but you'll definitely lose 2 to 3 tenths down this run to the first corner here. Third gear, you can rev out third gear, or you can upshift to fourth, and be careful while you're upshifting while accelerating. The car sometimes tends to oversteer. This is just a characteristic of these cars if you're running a little bit soft on the rear suspension, so that's going to be something you need to note. And well, stay tight on the left, but open up your steering. Don't run into the wall, of course. The most simplest advice I can give: don't run into the wall, right? Then just power down all the way down to the last corner here. The last, you know, it is a corner, but it's not really a real corner. It's just a flat out corner here. And which point you want to start turning in, I use the start of this bridge as my, you know, the end of the bridge as starting point, or the red and white curve on the right hand side. As soon as you hit either of this braking point, you can just start turning left little by little and hug the inside line to get the shortest line to the flag. And there you go, that is a lap around Las Vegas. Well, I hope we get a little bit better with this track soon. Maybe there might be some real life differences in the curves which will get updated in the next game, and well, who knows, maybe there's going to be a great race, maybe it's going to be a bad race. Temperatures are going to be cold in real life. I don't care as long as we don't have to race there ever again. I don't know. It's always the first time for any track. We might be proven wrong by the racing spectacle over there. Either way, that's all that I can help you out for Las Vegas for now. If you need further assistance, feel free always to join the Discord and leave some comments. Then I'll try to respond to it. And we'll see you in the next track guide, which is going to be the finale of real life as well. That's going to be Abu Dhabi. So see you. Take care. Bye bye.